welcome. This is Shari Strong with Coach Uplift Weekly, and I am so excited to invite and have everyone here today. My guest, which I'll talk about here in a moment, is somebody I've actually met. It's probably been, has it been 10 years? Was it 2011, 2012, something like that? So
a while.
Yes, and he has a great story to tell. And more importantly, just for Coach Uplift Weekly, as everybody knows, this is tips, tools, resources for coaches, team leaders, managers, anybody who leads people, who is coaching people, counseling people, who is constantly trying to add tools to their toolbox. And if anything, just raise their own self-awareness, because we know when we raise our own self-awareness, that's when we can actually connect and help more people. So, and as always, remember to go to your Apple Store or your Google Play Store, download the Soar Media app. And there has been some upgrades in the past 2 weeks. So now we've got a video player on there, and we will be talking about how to monetize those coaches who have master classes. If you have private clients that you want to start a group with, there's actually a way to monetize it. So go to the Soar.coaches or Soar Coaches on Facebook and ask to be added, and you'll hear about all the updates there as well. Or you can email connect, CONNECT @soar.com. So thank you to all of you who are joining us live. And of course, thank you to everyone who is listening to this. We have around 220, 230 people now registered for Coach Uplift Weekly. And we know the majority of you listen to this on the go. So we just want to make sure we acknowledge you and say thank you for taking the time to listen to this. So without further ado, I want to introduce Chris Warnky. We met actually at another coaching group. See how coaches all find each other. And what I love about the coaching community most, and even Soar's coaching community, is that you become friends. And I remember when I met Chris, first of all, we were just, new coaches. And I think you had just retired from or quit your company or decided to leave your full-time position, as did I. Is that right? And so we were both like, clawing, and I can remember, I was a hot mess. I remember I was so focused on, I was going to build a business. I didn't have time for all these friendships and relationships. Boy, did I have a lot to learn, right? And Chris, though, even in my tunnel vision and not being able to, and we all know as coaches, I'll say this, I was operating out of a place of fear, right? Couldn't develop things because I was so scared that I was not going to be successful. And now I look back at that and go, oh my gosh, the exact things that were going to help me become successful are the things that I had blinders on to. But somehow Chris broke through that and we became friends. And his daughter, I think, went on to American Ninja Warrior. And I was following Chris on Facebook. I remember exactly how this part developed. Out of all those people, Chrissy, and I remember you announced it, and people were liking it. And I was like, you're kidding. I love that show. Oh my gosh, Chris, I'm going to watch it. I think I invited 100 friends to watch Michelle the first time. And you'll be talking about this. She's actually getting ready to go on again, right? Her 7th time to go through it again.
She is. And actually, this will be season 9 for her.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I see. So anyway, so a little bit more about Chris, and then we're going to be talking today. The title of today is, just so we know the purpose of the call, it isn't just for us to go down memory lane as much fun as that is. It's actually tips to refocus when it's hard to see the big picture. And Chris, so he too then went on to participate and compete as an American Ninja Warrior. He'll be talking about that. He's an executive coach, a life coach. His business is called Well Done Life. And I think it's so appropriate, and it's appropriately named. He has coaching clients, business, corporate, enterprise clients. He's authored 6, I think, if I remember correctly, 6 Ninja Warrior books.
Oh, 6 ninjas.
7. Okay. He shares, and through that experience, he's learned a lot, right? And I love learning from people who have experience and they're not just talking heads. So that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about today as well. Your life, it actually is, it conveys the power, I'm trying to find the right words, to conduct like personal retreats, like how to empower yourself and how to re-zone in, if you will, on the big picture and how to achieve it. So I don't want to put words into your mouth, Chris, but that's what I'm taking from it. But well, I mean, he's part of Toastmasters. He's presented John Maxwell team, 23 years as an executive at Bank One and JP Morgan Chase. So with that, did I miss anything, Chris? I'll hand it over to you.
You covered plenty. Maybe we left out the 2 grandkids. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. So how old are they?
We actually, one is as of yesterday 4, and the other is 8. So we went and celebrated the birthday yesterday.
We've had grandchildren since we met too. I have 5 grandchildren now.
Whoa!
So one was born, I think, and the other 4 have been born since I met you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. So tell us, and where do you want to start? Because today, just so everybody knows, we're not making this out. As you see, it's a meeting, not a webinar this time. We decided not to do, we talked about doing a PowerPoint, but Chris has a lot he can share. We thought we'd just make this organic. So if you would like to, chime in, please unmute yourself. Just make sure you mute yourself back up or chat it, and I'll check it every once in a while. But we're just going to have a conversation about this idea around focusing and stay focused and how, because I think sometimes you can become overwhelmed with the big picture. So that's what today is about, just to kind of set the stage here. So Chris, where do you want to start?
Yeah, well, we'll just pick up on the American Ninja Warrior for the fun of it here. I actually just got off of a call with the American Ninja Warrior producers because they are scheduling for the next run that Michelle will have. This year, they're going to run in actually Tacoma, Washington. And that's actually almost a week from yesterday, actually. They'll be actually starting the competition for this next round. And again, because of COVID, they are not going to have the audience there, the friends and family. So they're going to actually record us from our individual homes and locations that we're at remotely. So we had to do our test recording to make sure that we are seen without inappropriate logos on and all that type of thing to support NBC. So we are absolutely gearing up. I think we have 5 people related to our gym that are all going to be competing this year on the show. So
wow, and you're going to tell us more about your gym too, correct? And how that
got started? I'm happy to do that. Yeah, happy to do that. Brand new facility to us. We actually just moved in, I think it was December, and literally Michelle's had a gym now, a ninja gym, for about 5 years, and this one is like 2.5 times the size of her last gym.
So where are you guys located? So everybody knows, and our listeners know where you're located.
Yep, located in Columbus, Ohio. And we're right up, if you're familiar with Columbus at all, in the Polaris area. And I actually teach classes at the Ninja Gym. I would describe myself as somebody that goes with the theme of my first book, The Heart of a Ninja, is I love to move and play. And I feel like so few adults know how to probably even spell the word anymore, move and play. It's so easy to get caught stuck in a chair and, doing some routine work type of things, so that we just so seldom move. So when I turn and go to a ninja gym, this 64-year-old becomes a 3rd grader. And I just start moving and playing and hanging and running and jumping and swinging and sometimes falling, but falling on mats. So,
and I do remember a couple pictures, I'm going to say, of bruises.
Yep. Yep.
I think that's why another thing that's so awesome about you, Chris, is, I mean, this isn't a secret or anything, but Chris is not in his 20s. When did you go through the Ninja Warrior experience?
I actually approached Michelle at age 57, and I said, Michelle, they have not yet had a dad and a daughter on the show. What do you think about me starting to train and seeing if we can get invited as the first dad and daughter? And she said, I love it. I love it. So I told her I needed about 1.5 years to train. So it actually worked out that when I turned 60, that I actually got to compete on the show, and got to actually I have a little
I
picture
just
that
got goosebumps. 60 and got
Yep.
trained.
age 60. I was the oldest competitor that night, but here's a little picture. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm running across the
I remember
what they
it.
call razor's edge. So no 60-year-old had made it beyond the third obstacle. Still, no 60-year-old has made it beyond the third obstacle.
Well, I don't know. You just
put
put a challenge out there for all of our listeners now.
That's right.
If you decide to go on American Ninja Warrior, email connect@soar.com.
There you go. Yep, absolutely. So I actually waited in what they call the walk-on line for 16 days up in Cleveland, out of town, having to check in throughout the day to be able to officially stay in the line. So there's a whole story behind that. I actually wrote a book called The Line, What Just Happened, The Line, because it was, I couldn't believe I got in a car and drove up to Cleveland and just said, dear, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to try and start. Anyway, I made it 16 days and I got to the night of the episode. And because the walk-on line is literally competitors that were not invited, you don't know if you're going to actually run the course or not. Well, I had come down to, I actually showed up in Cleveland as runner number 10. And because of some circumstances that happened, I ended up getting bumped down to number 8. Well, often up to 10 people on the walk-on line may get to run, even though there could be over 100 people in the walk-on line. So about 10:30 at night, 40 degrees outside in downtown Cleveland on a standard street that they blocked off, set up the ninja course. I'm sitting there and the producers walked up and said, we'd like to see you do some stretching and some warm-up. So we'd like to bring you over here. Can you hang from this bar? Can you do a couple of unique, fun little quiz things and those types of things? I did a few of those things. And it's like, so why are they asking me to do this? It's like, I don't know yet that I'm going to actually run. So they said, well, let's have you do a couple of other things over here and we get warm up and everything. So then they were done with me. So I went back over to the side and I'm waiting. And it's like, here I've waited 16 days and I still don't actually know if I'm going to run. So finally, about 3 to 5 minutes later, I ended up walking over to the producer that was accountable for the runners. And I said, we're like on runner number 6. Should I like get ready? You go, oh yeah, get your clothes off. You're going to be running because it was cold enough. I'm wearing sweatpants and sweatshirts and all kinds of different things. Anyway, so probably about 3 minutes prior to actually running on the course, I was actually fully convinced for the first time that I am actually going to run on this TV show with all the lights, with all the fans, with all of the friends, everything, and with all the water below all the obstacles. So it was a crazy experience.
Amazing.
So I had a ball. I learned so much. I've continued to learn so much from being a ninja. It's why I actually wrote the book, The Heart of a Ninja, which is all about the training that I went through and all the value I've gained just from training. Forget the show.
Oh my gosh. We could do a whole series just like Coach Uplift Weekly with you.
That's right. Well, and actually one of the elements of the book is 12 traits of a ninja. I ended up identifying 12 traits of a ninja that I've used with training other ninjas, and actually some of my books incorporate the 12 traits of a ninja. So I've got that in there. And then I ended up writing a book about the walk-on line experience. I wrote another book about what's it like in the middle of the night to actually step on an American Ninja Warrior course and run the course. So I just, it's like, for me, I wanted to capture the experience while it was fresh in my mind and have the ability to be able to share it and entertain other people with learnings that come out of each of the experiences, that you take advantage of.
Well, and that, I think, isn't that really the essence of all of us, right? And the older we get, I think that's your benefit. And I apologize, my dog is going nuts in the background. I keep muting myself. But I want to have a chime in here for a moment. It's the learning that we can get, the wisdom, and which is part of why we do this, right? So we have a platform which we can share the wisdom that we gain, because the older I get, the more I realize how important it is to learn from others. When I was a child, I was the difficult one and I was going to do it, learn the hard way. My mom cursed me with that. So,
Yep.
So let's talk about that, Chris. You know, when it comes to focus and focusing on the big picture, and remember that a lot of the people that listen to this are coaches themselves. So they're going to be coaching people. They're going to have the hat on of how can I take this information and share it and use it in my practice, or team leaders. We have a lot of team leaders who listen to this as well. How can I use this with my team? So let's go there. What when it comes to focus and what you've learned, the difference between focus and big picture, because that's, I think, focusing too much, and my belief has always been that if we focus too much on the big picture, we can lose track as well and get off track, actually. So
Right.
What's your opinion on that? What's your advice there?
Yep. A couple of things. And I'd like to start with an example. And that is, if you sit and you look out into the room, or if you can look out a window or whatever, you basically see a much bigger picture than what's immediately in front of you. An interesting experience in my mind that happens for me and likely will happen for you is as soon as you put your finger up in front of you, your eyes are drawn to the thing that's immediately in front of you. Okay. And what's really interesting is when you put your finger up in front of you, the background becomes less sharp. It's kind of blurry. Okay. So I can either focus on my finger or I can focus beyond my finger. I can tell my finger's there, but I can't see any detail when my eyes are focused on the distance. So many of us actually don't just have one thing going on that's right in front of us, but we have a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth. When you put all of those things right in front of you and they're drawing your individual attention and you're jumping between fingers or projects, the big picture, what's going on around you, is almost non-existent. You are so focused on the individual thing. Now, one of the other things is with an entrepreneur, a lot of times you can get so focused on what you're going after. Watch, I don't know if you can see this on the video, but watch what happens with my eyes if I get super focused, which I think can be really fantastic. But also, if I bring that individual item and I try to focus on it, guess what? I get cross-eyed, and now everything seems out of whack because I've got such a tremendous focus, not on the big picture, but on the one thing that's in front of me, or maybe the 5 things that are in front of me, or 10.
So that's a really good example.
So what I believe is that most of us, because of the natural tendency that our eye goes to the thing that's right in front of us, the shiny thing, as people will refer to it, is what often gets eliminated is the time to see the big picture. And without intentionally taking the time to step away from the detail, then we don't see the big picture. One good analogy of this is if you're driving down a road, I can be so focused on staying between my lines and I'm going to pass somebody. So I get the speed up to the speed that I need to be, and then I turn into the other lane and I go around the person. Well, if I don't take the time to go beyond the fact that I want to pass somebody and appreciate my environment, take the time to look and observe, check rearview mirrors, I may not see the car or the semi that's passing me on my left while I am so super focused. I'm doing excellent at making the right turn with my steering wheel. I know the right distance from the car in front of me, but I'm so focused on my task, I don't see the big picture. And that could be so detrimental if you don't take the time to see the big picture.
So this is a little bit opposite of what a lot of people teach, right? So a lot of people teach, stay focused on the, think of the big picture, but what's the task today? Focus on the task today. So again, there's always 2 sides to every coin. For every cliche, I can tell you the opposite cliche, and it works too,
right?
Right. So how do you help people then? Because I think there's a wisdom in knowing that you've become cross-eyed because you're so focused, right? Because there's a point of where being focused is good. When you become cross-eyed, so I'm just using your
right.
example, right?
Yep.
So when you become cross-eyed, how do you know? Because I think once you become cross-eyed, I will tell you, when I crossed my eyes, only one of them actually crossed, and I didn't even know that until somebody else told me. Right? It's like, it was one of my kids one day. It was like, Mom, both your eyes aren't crossed. I was like, really? I didn't know that. How would I know that? So how do you help somebody know when to double check to make sure they're not cross-eyed? Because they may not even know if they're so focused.
Right.
And then that it's time to take a look at the big picture. And then the opposite is true as well. How do you help somebody know, hey, you've looking at the big picture, it's time to get focused on the one thing? How do you help people with that, Chris?
Yeah, I would say, for one, the not knowing if you're cross-eyed, a lot of times it's when you got 5 things directly in front of you and you're just jumping. Our natural tendency is to try to go faster, to be able to try to deal with those types of things. So if you're feeling rushed, short of breath, and just overwhelmed repeatedly with life, you're in one of those places where the eyes are crossed. And I love the quote from a guy named Will Rogers that says, if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. And then I like to add, as a coach to that, long enough, stop digging long enough to stop, think, assess what's going on around you, and then build a plan to help you step out of that hole and on to the things that are most important in your life. So one of the things is you can get so caught up, and you can probably tell literally from your breathing, you know, if you're just go, and I've got to keep all this going. Sometimes the best thing to do is to take an hour or 2 or 3, or if you're using my 3rd level refocus session, maybe 12 to 18 hours. Stop and look at what actually is going on in your life and around your life, and assess, what are the things that are going well? What are the things that are not going well? What are the things that I need to find ways to do even more of? What are the things that I need to stop or change? And then how can I take actions, specific, tangible actions? So absolutely, in my analogy, focus is super powerful. But if it becomes the all-consuming jump to this, to this, to this, to this, such that I don't see the big picture, then you are too focused.
And
I will tell you,
in today's world, right, people take pride in that. They take pride in being able to multitask. And in fact, we've trained ourselves, you know, to have 2 monitors in our phone, and oh my gosh, and do this and do that, that we almost feel, I know I've coached some people that feel like they're not doing enough, like something's wrong. But
yeah.
I love the idea of checking your breath, because now that you're saying that, I'm just reflecting back. When I do that, I find myself not breathing, like I'm holding it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like,
right.
You know what? I'm not even breathing.
Yeah.
What in the world? That's not healthy, and that's not good. But you're right. I get so zoned in, but not just on one thing. It's when it's 2 or 3 things, and I find myself not breathing. Thank you. That's a great tip.
Well, and one of the ways that I love to describe my feeling about conducting a refocus session is, it's like often taking a first nice, deep, cleansing breath for the first time in a while. It's like, you know what? And what's amazing to me, and it's funny because by all means fall prey to all the temptations that everybody else does. So that's why these days I try to take what I call a refocus session once a month or once every month and a half at the very most, to literally step back and get context. It's funny because for who I am, if I have 35 things on my to-do list, and I've actually taken time to understand how they fit into what my ultimate life goals are, and I've prioritized them, and then I've gotten a sense, and one of the things I share in the book is the concept of matching volume to capacity. And I won't do a deep dive in that, but literally it's thinking in terms of, if capacity is this cup, sorry, this is a promotion for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
That's all right. We'll take it.
If this is my capacity and I have this much liquid I'm trying to put into it, you know what? That amount of liquid is never, ever going to go into this cup. So if I can determine my capacity for this hour, this day, this week, whatever it is whatever your planning block is, determining your capacity and then looking at your to-do list, if they in fact are prioritized, so you know the most important things, Then if you can forecast how long it takes to do each of the tasks, this is a 20-minute thing, this is a 3-hour thing, whatever the case might be, you only fill your cup for that day or that week with the capacity. And all of the weight of the other 32 things that, oh, I've got to get done. It's like, you know what? You never had the capacity to get that amount done anyway. Why not be content with maximizing the capacity that you did have, knowing that when you get to the end of the day, if I had 3 things that fit into my container of capacity, I don't come out feeling like I made a tiny dent in the 35 things. You know how I come out? I come out, whoa, I am so pumped because what I had the ability to do today, I got done. And oh, you want to talk about another whole world? Some days you actually get the 3 things done and you get to go back into the pile and pull 1 more in. Oh man, do you go to bed with a smile on your face and victory in how you managed your day.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about this, and I love this, right? Because there are people who are natural list makers. I'm one of them. I love my list, right? And I love calendars and time. So, but I think where people, when I've coached people before, is the missing piece is not just to make a list, but to guesstimate the time it takes to do that thing, because otherwise they feel busy, right? Like, I'm just so busy. I'm just so busy. And they're not really getting anything done because they're not focused. But boy, they feel, but they've never really put parameters around the task.
Correct.
That's the biggest takeaway I'm taking on that particular tip and tool is making sure that when you're coaching yourself and or others, the step beyond the list is how identifying how long it's going to take, and then stick to that or make an adjustment the next time you have to assess yourself on guesstimating what it's going to take.
Right. And a couple of the actual steps in that, and I go into more of this, I think, in the book, so you can take a look at it. But the first thing is you want to list things versus everything's just in my head. Okay. Now I've got them listed. Then I want to group them. Okay. If it's 32 things, it's hard to decide what's number 27 and number 29. Okay. So I want to group them into at least A's, B's, and C's so that I know generally which are the ones that are the most important based on, importance, impact. Then I take at minimum my A's, and now I literally want to rank the 10 in order, the way that they are most important and the way I should address them because of the impact again, and maybe the amount of effort required. So then I rank the 10, then I go into the 10 and I can actually start with the 10. I can look at my capacity and I actually do both by day, and I'm a paper guy here. I've tried to do electronic and it's like, it's just so easy to move paper. So then I have my week list and I have my day list. And literally, once I know my capacity, then I can start at number 1 at the top and say, how long of a task is that? Ooh, that's a 3-hour task. Okay, so there's 3 hours. What's my second task? Second task is just 15 minutes. Next task is 30 minutes. Anyway, I only really have to time out down to the amount of capacity I have. I don't have to deal with the rest.
So excited about this because most people, and I even do time block, right? They get taught time blocking. Oh, I'm going to do this during this hour, doing this. And they think they're doing what you're telling people to do, but they're not.
Yep.
You have to start with the actual time of the task. And if it's 3 hours, go find that 3 hours. And here's the interesting thing. I always heard that, people say, if you actually focus on getting 3 things done or a certain amount of people or things to get done by the end of the year, you'll end up getting more done versus focusing on 42 different things and you'll get 5 done. This helps with that. You'll actually get more done.
Yes. And see, here's where the piece comes into me is I might get the same amount done. Likely I'll get more done, but what I will get done is what I know was most important. That's to me where the piece comes from versus I got a bunch of things done, but I never really knew which was the most important thing. And if I don't know what's most important, you know what I'm going to probably get done? the easiest and simplest things. But if I've taken the time to assess those, and then here's another twist that I add to it is if I have something that's 3 hours, I don't use 3-hour tasks. Okay. I don't time block 3 hours. What I will do is I'll break my 3-hour task into pieces so that it can at minimum be an hour or less. And it's like, okay, it's edit my book, you know, for 3 hours or whatever. So it's like, well, no, if I do 2 chapters today, that breaks it down, gets it to within an hour. Now, if at some point in time I want to actually do 2 of those 3 tasks, you know, today I can, but I'm going to block the first 2 chapters. And if I get that done, ooh, do I feel good? Then I can do the second 2 if I want to.
This is so fabulous. I love this. You know, I have been, and I'm sure most of our listeners have been to multiple or heard multiple talks and, you know, gurus and experts talk about time management. This is something that I think has been left out, and every single person. We're going to take a break right here and say, what's the name of your book, Chris? And is it on, where can they get it at?
They can get it on Amazon.com, How to Refocus Your Life. And actually all 7 of my books are on Amazon. If you go into Amazon and just search Chris Warnky, you'll see all 7 of the books. But the first 6 are all ninja experiences and learnings. And this is my first, I basically have 2 series. One is going to be the Heart of a Ninja series, which is all of my ninja related books. And then the How to Refocus Your Life is the first in the Well Done Life series. And I've already got 3 other books that are in the works right now that will be also available on the Well Done Life series.
That was so let's talk about that then. So here we are talking about focus, and yet you just named off a bunch of things that you are accomplishing. And my curiosity question is because I think some people are really good at this. So I'm just going to make that assumption that a lot of our audience may, like me, I'm like, that is the best tip I've heard in a long time. And in fact, I'm all excited because this afternoon in my head, I'm already going, wait, that's the one I need to go back and do. So thank you. But with that, how do you get out of your comfort zone then to make a decision like you did to try something new, like American Ninja Warrior? Because that seems like such a contrast to focus. Am I wrong in asking that question or thinking that? Because it seems like there's a contrast there, because you still, while being focused and you're getting a lot done, have that ability to look at the big picture and something that you hadn't been in before. Can you share a little bit on how to still stay focused, get more done, and get out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I think my basic response would be by taking the time in refocus sessions to assess what I want in life. And one of the things that I go into actually in the book is I list my mission, my values, my actually, because it just came to mind, I'll mention it, it's kind of off topic, but a last letter was a very interesting, powerful experience. And just a little quick sidebar on that. A last letter is basically the letter that you leave to your family if you were to die immediately, unexpectedly. And you talk about an interesting experience. Okay, so anyway, so there's all kinds of—
No, but that's powerful.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable experience to put yourself in a mindset of, I'm gone. And to actually think in those terms and say, what is it I'd want to say to who? Is just an unbelievable. My wife knows where my letter is. It's in a file folder. It's sealed. It's not to be read until I'm gone. And if by chance something happens today at the ninja gym to me, you know, or whatever, I get hit by a car on the way there, and I don't make it, I have the peace of saying every last thing I wanted to say to the most important people to me in my last letter. Anyway, again, it's a part of the book. It talks you through that experience that I went through, and it was so powerful. So, but the reality is, if you've taken the time, and really in a refocus session is one of the places that you can do this, is define what is it I really want in life? What are my key values? What are my big picture goals? When you have those things defined in a refocus session, you actually have something to compare the way you're living to what you've said is the way that you want to live. And it gives you the opportunity to say, if I'm not as active as I feel like I should be, what are ways that I personally, and it's just like coaching with not being rushed in a refocus session. It's not a quick, you got to write 7 things down and you got to react, because one of the things I love about coaching is we wait out our clients. People are accustomed to, if they're talking to somebody and somebody says, what's your favorite color? And you say, well, I'm not sure I know. And they say, well, just pick one. They just, we want microwave short answers to things. And in a coaching session or in a refocus session that you're doing by yourself, there's not a rush. It's a time for you to say, what is it I really want? And I can tell you, for me, I am not this great training type of guy. I cheat. I be me. I go to the gym.
He always says, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
That's right. I play. And what's really interesting is when I go and I play for an hour, hour and a half, I come back and it's like, oh, my arms and oh, my skin on my fingers is so tender, and my back. So the reality is I do a tremendous workout, but I do it in my way. And I really have done those types of things because of taking the time to stop and think, versus I never, it's like, oh, I should do some more exercise, but I'm too busy. I'm just, it's like, wait, just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop and think about what's most important to you. And then how are you doing relative to those things?
Thank you for that on behalf of a lot of people, because I do think in the coaching world, especially, you hear a lot about like laser coaching, laser sessions. To your point, everything is, we want instant gratification. We want instant answers. We want to know. And I love this message. It's okay not to know right now. That doesn't mean you're going to not know forever.
Right.
But it's okay to take a breath and think about, like, my favorite color has changed over the years.
Yeah, there you go.
Our taste buds have, right? Like, purple used to be my favorite color, loved it. And it was like, I don't know, I got my upper 40s and 50s, and I'm like, blue is my favorite color now. I don't even know why.
Yeah.
But if I would have taken time to really think that, I would just regurgitate purple. And I know that sounds like a minute subject matter, but it really represents everything, right? That we don't take time. It's okay to take time to think things through and to get refocused. It isn't about quickness. It's about quality. That's right. What I'm hearing.
Oh, you know what? In my writing, one of the statements that was made back when I was at Chase, and boy, did it click with me. And I hope it's helpful to you as well. People will always remember how well you did something, not how quickly you did it. So you take anything that you have done and you go out 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and people will remember, oh yeah, that's right. He produced that book that he got, I think he got it turned around in the year that he said he was going to get it turned around, but yeah, type of thing, or whatever it is that you're going after. So one of the repeated messages that was in the back of my mind, especially with my first book, The Heart of a Ninja, is it was like, you know what? People will always remember how good it was in the end, even though I wanted to hit the Christmas window. It was like, Christmas is when 80% of the books are
because
bought.
of our
Like,
self-imposed. Now, here's the thing: you need deadlines,
yeah.
but however, and
yep, right. So anyway, so that has stuck with me and just been a tremendous guide as I do everything that I do. To remember, it's how well you do something that is so much more important than when you got it done.
You just gave me permission to give myself a break. And thank you for that, because I am one of those people that I have the need to achieve, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Clifton Strengths, they call it achiever. And I mean, and it will it becomes overbearing sometimes, like my need to achieve things.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point, and whenever I've been interviewed, people say, what's a weakness of yours? And it's when something gets pushed off too long, my need to achieve takes over, and then the quality goes down.
Yeah.
And so that, and then there's this self-limiting belief around quickness that I have, and I bet you a lot of people who are listening to this have this because of society, parents, you know, whatever it is, but you have this limiting belief around quickness that it's not true. It's not true how quick you do something. It's what we want and we may need, or financial or whatever those things are. But is it really true that you have to do it that quick? Like that's the question. Yeah, I feel like I've had my personal coaching session today. So forget anybody else who's on here and listening to this. But hopefully, I always feel like I'm a common person. So hopefully, I'm representing most people who listen to this. But so, Chris, you know, look at this. Time has flown by. What nuggets, you know, do you want to leave people with? What is something that you hope, especially coming out of the time that we've been in, where a lot of people have had the opportunity to refocus this last 12 months? You know, what's your next, what would you give advice to them as next steps, or something to do moving forward that, you know, you hope all people get from this or from your book? What do you want here?
One of the biggest things that I would say that I feel like the value that the book or the tool provides is that structure brings value. And if you think about somebody saying, you just need to take some more time to think about your life. And it's like, okay, so I'm going to block 2 hours and I'm going to go think about my life. It's like, wow, how do I do, what does that mean?
That sounds,
you know what I mean?
So
I don't even know. So in the book, literally, I have 3 different levels of refocus sessions that provides the structure so that it can, in fact, be valuable time that you would spend when you go off by yourself and say, I want greater context and greater focus about where I am and what is going on. So I would say that structure, finding structure to help you use times, because you can dedicate the time to say, I'm just going to spend more think time about my life. And there's a good chance you're going to come away just depressed. And it's like, I had 12 other things I could have gotten done during my 2 hours that I tried to sit and look at the sky or whatever. And it's structure can be so valuable. If I can, Shari, there are some things, some bonus elements at the back of the book that I just want to mention that I think that are in addition to the refocus information. One of them is I have a special life assessment wheel that I use as a coach, which is a lot different than what I've seen used by most other coaches. It's got 2 kind of very interesting twists to it. Because of time, I'm not going to mention what those twists are yet. Then I also do a segment talking about how it's so much more important to manage energy than it is to manage time. So I've got that piece in there. I've also got the matching volume to capacity segment that's in there. I've got what I call an ELM. And an ELM is a tool that I developed back when I was at the bank. And it stands for Easy Love Matrix. And don't go where your mind might want to go there. But Easy Love Matrix is a matrix that says, it's basically a 4-box matrix that defines things that are easy for me to do and things that are hard for me to do. Things that I love to do and things that I hate to do. And basically, the way you use something like that is you, for yourself or for your staff, you have them take all of their current roles in their job and place them within the matrix. Within the matrix, then, you as an individual that use it or your manager can use that matrix to say, how can we take some of these things that are harder for you and you hate to do and give them to somebody else that may have them actually be in the easy and love to do quadrant. So it's a way to shift the work level. Okay, so that's the ELM. Last 2 things is there's a whole description about my journaling process that I go through. I've tried to journal different times throughout my life and it's never worked. Well, now I've got a way that's working really well that doesn't take forever, that I love. And I describe all of that again with 3 different levels of the ability to do journaling. And then I have one last thing that I'll mention. There's a couple of others that are in there, but the energy management matrix. So it's a matrix that I use for myself to define what am I doing to generate energy in my life. And it's got a variety of different ways in which I do that. And what am I doing to leverage the energy that I do have? Am I throwing away those opportunities? Because all time is not equal. There is time that we are highly energetic and driven and motivated. And there is the same quality of time on the earth that we have no drive, no motivation, no focus, no anything. So the important thing in my view is to make sure we are doing what we can to generate the energy, and that we're doing what we can to leverage that energy that we generate so that we can become the most productive person. So those are a couple of things that are just kind of—
oh my gosh. So here's what I'm going to tell everybody to do. And I encourage everybody, of course, to go buy Chris's book. And remember, and I'm going to say this, we have a lot of people on our Coach Uplift Weekly that have books, and authors do not make a lot of money on the book. So if you think that every author is out here making, that's not it. We usually, and I've written a book, I'm writing my second one. We usually write books out of passion to help people.
Absolutely.
And so, but it does help to get some of the money, because there's a lot of investment that goes into writing books. So I just want to preface that, because we have a lot of people that we have guests, and I say that because I buy all the books. Now here's what I'm going to say about Chris's. And not only am I going to buy this one, I think this one, I have a couple of clients I think I'm going to gift it to. It has, especially with those bonuses that you were just talking about. In my head, I'm already thinking of a couple people. You know, I still do some coaching on the side, counseling on the side. And I have somebody in particular I love to give to my clients as well, just things that I think can help them in their life. It's a great bonus ad. So go, I think this is one of those that's worth that value in that time. So what's the book again, the title again, Chris?
Yep. How to Refocus Your Life. And then the subtitle is See Beyond the Urgent to the Big Picture Through Personal Retreats.
Now I understand what the finger is. I never understood what the finger is on the picture.
Like,
now I know.
Yep. And you'll see that the finger is
it.
out of focus, and it's the mountains that are in fact in the focus. So actually for coaches as well, in the book, I talk about how you can go through the various steps of the various levels, because they get simple down to the complex or more complex. And I do the ones that are the deepest dive right now on all of the things that I talked about. But in the book, near the back, I talk about if you want to go through this process and you are not able to stay focused and stay with the full process, but you'd like to, a coach is exactly the type of person that you very well might need to help you complete this, because you don't have the self-discipline yourself. So absolutely, it's a book that can be used by coaches for clients. And then the last thing is, you know, the analogy with the airplane, who gets the oxygen mask first? It's you. Make sure that you're in good shape and that you've got a great handle on context and the big picture before you try to help other people get a handle on their big picture.
Fabulous. So thank you. And Chris, stay on. I'm going to stop the recording here in a minute if you would stay on afterwards.
Sure, absolutely.
Everybody, this has been Coach Uplift Weekly. Thank you to all of you who join us live, who are listening to us, either through our YouTube channel, of course, the Soar Media app. Everybody go download that. There's been some upgrades in the last couple of weeks. Now there's a video. It's not just audio. And remember, the long-term play there is that in the next 6 to 8 months, I'm going to be able to ask Google or Alexa to say, what did Chris Warnky say on that Coach Uplift Weekly? And it's actually going to play the clip. And then I'll be able to actually play the whole thing. So that's where we are ahead of the game, if you will, here at Soar when it comes to learning and development. We are going to be the YouTube of learning and development. So Chris, we're glad that you're part of that beginning of that journey as well. So thank you all. We'll see you next week. We have another great guest. We'll be sending out that information as well. He's fabulous, and he's going to actually take us through a process like we did a couple of weeks ago, where he's going to demonstrate a coaching through NLP. So you're not going to want to miss next week. So thank you all for being on, and we will see you next week on Coach Uplift Weekly.
Great job. Thank you.